The phrase "remember when" is one of my favorite phrases to use when I want to recall an event with someone that I enjoy, with someone that I love. Remember when we ... Remember when you ... Remember when I ... Is such a powerful phrase, and it's such a gentle way to guide the mind in recalling information that can help us to be more energetic, more confident, more tenacious, really have that growth mindset that we all need to excel beyond adversities. Now, here's the thing. We all need a little adversity. It's not about getting rid of it to where we don't even know what we're capable of doing. And it's not about having so much of it to where we're not capable of knowing what we're doing. The right amount of adversity with the right amount of perspective can produce some of our greatest benefits, some of our greatest awareness to the built-in advantages that we have. So last night I was singing, and I'm not going to sing on YouTube because it's just going to be bad. Yesterday I tripped or slipped. Now I'm not going to sing on YouTube because I don't stand a chance singing on YouTube, okay? There are so many tremendously wonderful singers. I missed the window to practice. I'm behind, okay? So I can't sing today. But I was singing a song, and when I was a little girl, I used to love to sing. I actually wanted to be a singer, an artist, a teacher, and a scientist. And in many ways, I get to be those things, okay? Except scientist in the sense of I read the science instead of performing the science in experiments. But as I was singing last night, I was thinking about when I was in 8th grade and I did a talent show. And I was so determined to prove to myself that I could sing publicly, that I could be more than that quiet girl that everyone was accustomed to seeing and knowing at school. So I tried out and I got in and I sang and I practiced and I practiced and I practiced and I practiced. And I remember going up there and I was so scared. I was just like, I gotta do this. And so it was such a lovely moment because I remember being behind stage and then, I couldn't really see people's faces, which was great. And if you watched my last video on being highly sensitive and what I wish my parents would have known, I wish my parents would have known that pushing me just a little bit further into sharing those gifts and multiple varieties of it would help me to build the self-trust that I needed. But they did know at some level because they said, you got to stick with this art thing, okay? They didn't push me for singing. But they said that art thing, you got to stick with that. Okay. So I did the talent show. I earned 2nd place. And I said, well, you know what? That's not bad. So I said to myself, and some of the judges of the talent show, my peers, said, well, you would have won 1st place, but the music was kind of loud and we could hear you, but we couldn't hear you enough. And I said, well, that's fair. I wish I could say, hey, turn the music down, But anyhow, there's something I did last night that was so powerful. When I was singing, I hugged my 13-year-old self after she got off the stage. Now you may be wondering, well, how did you do this? How did you hug your 13-year-old self? Well, I recreated the moment within my mind-body experience. I sang the song. I put myself mentally back on that stage. And it's so interesting because when we talk about memory recall, we can bring up the emotions, we can bring up the sights and the sounds. And of course, what we remember is not 100%. And when memory is created, it's amazing what happens. And I'm not a scientist, so I can't tell you because I've done the experiment, but I can tell you because I've read the research. What happens is when the memory is created, when the memory is encoded into the mind, a copy of that memory is created amongst the neurons. And so when we're accessing the memory, we're accessing the copy that was created at the time of encoding. Okay, now just read the research. And I got this specific piece of information from The Whole Brain Child, written by Dr. Dan Siegel and Dr. Tina Payne Bryson. It's a wonderful book, Whole Brain Child, okay? And so when we're remembering, it's not that we remember everything 100%. It's not. No one has photographic memory, okay? But we're recalling, things that were encoded into our minds at the time the memory was created. And so I put myself back on stage. I remembered what I was wearing. I remembered how I was sweating. I was like, oh, I'm so nervous, and I sang. And I was like, wow, I gave myself, my 13-year-old self, a hug. And what it looks like in real life is simply going like this. Simply going like this. And this registers as a hug in our nervous system. It's so amazing. So I'm singing, I'm doing the motions like I did when I was in 8th grade. And then I walked off the stage. I saw myself walking off the stage. And what I did mentally, and this is so powerful, and we talk about in the quantum sense, the quantum field, this universal, unified field where, particles and atoms create activity and all of these things, and it's just amazing. And we're part of this field electromagnetically, okay? People can feel your heart in the room. The science shows us, just read Heart Math Institute science. The research is coming out of the Heart Math Institute. But here's the thing that's so exciting. And then I'm going to get back on track. Our ancient, thousands of years ago, ancient ancestors in the Nile Valley had this information. They knew that the heart sent out waves. They knew that the self it contained not 3 parts but 7. And the electromagnetic self is part of that 7. So we go back to Kemetic understanding of the cosmos, of the world. This is something that our ancestors have known for thousands of years. I just had to throw that in there. It's very easy to think, oh, well, this person found the nugget or this person found the nugget. It's like, no, we are uncovering what we've known. But now, today, science is saying, oh, yeah, and we see this through MRIs. We see this through electromagnetic imaging, okay? Now, I hugged myself, and I said, this last night, I said, I'm so proud of you. You did it. You did it. And I affirmed. It was very wonderful. It was very supernatural, because what my 13-year-old self needed after the talent show was an adult standing behind the stage and saying, you did it, Ashley. You did it. I am so proud of you. And if you know me in person, I will greet you with so much enthusiasm. If I know you have back pain, I'll give you a hug, but I'll be light. But if I know you don't, I'll pick you up and say, unless that's not your thing. I'm aware of that too. But I'm a very enthusiastic person, and I like to greet people with enthusiasm, because some people, they don't get it throughout the week. And so if I can be someone who offers that, that's God's way of showing them love through me. And when I did that, I was like, wow, I gave my 13-year-old self what she needed at that time. And then I wrote about it in my book. Okay, so this is my copy of the book, Amazing Me, a wonderful, wonderful resource for connecting to the joy of a younger self for those of us who are older. And this is created for tweens and teens, but everybody can use it. And so what I did was I went to the page where it says, what is something your younger self needs to hear when your present self feels discouraged? Now, I didn't feel discouraged last night when I was singing and I'm laughing, just having fun. And so I wasn't feeling discouraged. But I used that prompt, and this book doesn't have page numbers, so I can't tell you what page it's on, but visually, if you purchase the book, you'll be able to find it, okay? And I wrote a note to myself. And I did it from the place of encouragement, because what happens is when we're feeling high emotionally, we're like, okay, this is great, blah, blah. And then when we're feeling low, it's easy to forget those moments when we're feeling up. And so both exist on the continuum, the ups and the downs, because it's part of the human experience. It's not about being unworthy. It's not about being this, evil, wicked, sinner. That theology of you can't get right, okay, so you can't have a good day. That's not what this is. In real life, even the heart rate goes up and down, up and down, up and down. So we're gonna have those days, those moments. Even throughout the day, you can be high at 10:30 emotionally, and then get some news at 11:15, and then at 12 you're all, so you understand what I'm saying to you, okay? And I wrote this note, okay? And this is in cultivating compassion. So I used the moment of feeling like to speak to my 13-year-old self, because I had severe low self-esteem. And I wrote a note, and I used my sticky notes so I can always go back to it, okay? If you have this book, you can write directly in it, or you may want to say, I'm going to save the page. But I do encourage, if you buy this for your young person, write directly on it, because there's space for you to write around it and sign it like an autograph book. And I wrote a note and said, I'm so proud of you for sharing your gift of song in the talent show. You did it. You gave the song your all. You practiced. You overcame your fear of public singing. Remember 5 years earlier, when I was in 3rd grade, when you performed and an original poem, for the talent show. So I wrote a poem about all the types of pies that I like, and I wanted to perform it. This is real life, 3rd grade, but I couldn't remember my lines, okay? And they said, I said here, but you couldn't remember the lines, and they told you to come back next year. Do you remember? Well, you came back, and you earned 2nd place. I'm so proud of you. Keep developing your gifts. You are worthy of all that attention. Actually, 25 years later. So my note to my younger self is all of that, but the bottom line is you're worthy of that attention. I think what's happening with the screens and the constant access to glimpses of other people's lives is that it's impacting us at the level of we're not able to recognize the continuity of progress that we're making. And for our young people, because this is everything is new to them until things start to just get old and replay. And that does happen for our young people at some point. Before everything gets dull and repetitive, because they're not being exposed to different ideas, different people, different environments. Before that happens, things are new. And we want to see what this person has, we want to see what this person does, and we use that as a frame of reference for our lives. But with our young people, we actually want to protect them from the exposure to so many glimpses without creating the continuity of progress and joy and success and growth and prosperity in their lives. So you can give them glimpses of other people's lives in an appropriate way, like, oh, look what where so-and-so went. And you know what? Don't even do that. Get a book and look at things in a book, like animals and different, like, look at the polar bear, look how it swims, during the page, because what happens is it creates more meaningful activity in the brain and more significant learning than just swiping and looking and talking to people in different countries on video games. I mean, that's fine. You can do that, but it's not going to produce that greatest effect positively that you want. Okay, so when you're helping young people to create that continuity of self, and you do that from a place of true care, not self-absorption, not this false self-love or false humility or just falsehood, okay, folly, but real attention to them, and helping them to learn how to build that attention to themselves, working on an idea, solving a problem, creating a solution, getting into the zone of creativity where you experience your genius at a new level, and then you can be this interdependent learner and work on teams. That's the world we want. That's the world I'm building into. And if you're still watching, you are building into that world as well. So I want to encourage you, if you have this book, get into the activities. You know, you may want to get a copy for yourself and the young person you love so you can do it together. You know, and that can be a really fun experience. And there's so many ways to connect. There's so many ways you can be creative with your connection. That's all I wanted to share today. I was able to hug my 13-year-old self after the talent show 25 years later. Why? Because that 13-year-old is within me. And my goal every day is to integrate those ages and stages within myself so I can offer a richer experience to the young people and families I work with. I bless you. I want the best for you. And I'll see you again soon.